I'm very excited to have my next guest on the Real Talk with Skeeter Murray podcast show. She is a phenomenal talent. She's very gifted at what she does, and I'm super excited. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the only one, Miss Monica Morgan. Monica, thank you. And welcome.
Thank you, Skeeter.
Oh, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. It sounds like I appreciate you inviting me.
You know I'm shy, Skeeter.
Your teeth look absolutely great. How do you do that with those teeth like that? I'm just saying, it's amazing.
Skeeter, I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, your teeth are white. I mean,
Well,
I'm working on my teeth.
Okay.
I'm getting the Hollywood teeth, though. Yours are so beautiful, so natural, so white, so ivory. So, yes. How? Is it just
regular visits to my dentist?
Regular visits. Is that peroxide? Do you gargle with that liquid peroxide?
Skeeter.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to it. All right. Thank you, Monica. So take me into your world of photography, because you do everything through the lenses.
Yes.
When did you first got started with your? I mean, you're amazing, but when did you first feel that bug to do photography?
Well, I actually fell into photography about 30 years ago.
You fell into it 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
I originally wanted to be an actress.
Really?
And my mother said, I am not going to feed you for the rest of your life. You have to find something else to do.
Right.
So I then said I wanted to be a writer.
Okay.
She said, no, not that either.
Really?
No. She said William Shakespeare was discovered 100 years or so after his death. So
Wow.
she didn't want me to starve.
Wow. She didn't want you to starve.
I like to eat. I said, okay, I better find something else. And little did I know it would be photography. I did some PR work with the Detroit Public Schools Adult Education Division and Domino's Pizza.
Really?
I did PR for them for their classic car collection, for Al Kaline, and for the Pizza Ponies.
Wow.
And then I started to, I was also writing in the meanwhile for the Michigan Chronicle.
Where it's just, we'll talk about that.
Where I got my start. Yeah. And so one thing led to another. I started taking photos. I enjoyed it, got better at it, and said, this is my calling. This is my passion. This is what I want to do.
Okay, so the photography started, because I met you were at the Michigan Chronicle. You were doing an article called
About Town with Greg Dunmore.
With Greg Dunmore, right.
We've always been freelance.
Yes. I remember that because that was officially the first article ever written about me, Skeeter Murray, the comedian, right?
I wrote about you, Skeeter, yes.
Yes, you did. You did an excellent job. To my surprise, I had no idea. But you wrote about me, and I remember reading that About Town, and I saw that was the best article ever. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, I knew you were talented then, so.
Oh, thank you. That's why I love you.
Well, Greg and I used to always look for talent to talk about it so that we could be the first people to really write and give people an opportunity.
Okay, yeah. And that was a great, that was for you, that was a good vehicle to begin. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you just branched out into photography?
I was doing photography all along. A little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah. Yes. But you were actually doing photography that night at the event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where the title photojournalist came from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Covering events, yes.
Okay, and working for the Michigan Chronicle, you kind of had to do both.
I was freelance.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And affiliated with the Michigan Chronicle. They gave me my start. Okay. Al Dunmore, Greg's father, and Sam Logan.
Well, that's a great thing. I remember Sam. I remember Sam. Okay. So you got your start, and then the next thing I know, I just started hearing so many wonderful things about you, and I started seeing your photography. How did you get into Getty Images? I know you're there.
Well, Getty pursued me.
Wow.
And gave me an opportunity to show my images, or they actually represent me, and my photos go all over the world.
Wow.
They negotiate the prices.
Do they really?
They deposit money into my bank account.
Oh, my goodness. That's great. Getty Images. See, a lot of people try to get Getty Images, try to get published nationally. So, yeah, you were able to do that. And I was looking at Ebony Magazine, Jet Magazine, and the cover of Jet Magazine. I saw a young lady by the name, a pretty talented lady from Detroit by the name of Aretha Franklin.
Right.
So you did that?
Yes.
Did that? Okay. How did that come about?
In a matter of moments.
Really?
Yes. Aretha called me and wanted me to take photographs of her. They were the first public pictures after she had been ill. She was taping for the Grammys, and I had just a few minutes to pose her in between the takes.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I
So
was terrified.
why were you terrified?
Because you never know.
What?
You never know what photography.
But your work is dope. Your work is...
Every time I go through being
so
nervous
do you-
before a photo session.
Okay, so that was my next question. Do you actually, you're nervous before you shoot?
Mhm.
Why is that?
Because I never know what might happen.
But Monica, you do something that I call like the MMZ zone, the Monica Morgan zone, right? Because when I actually hired you to do photography for me for the comedy Kings of Comedy, right? And we were backstage. I never forget this. It was backstage with Bernie Mac, right?
Right.
You had already shot Steve and everybody else, but we were backstage with Bernie Mac and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And you had taken a lot of photos. And the thing I love about Bernie was Bernie never had an entourage.
Right.
It was just he, myself, and his wife. And you were snapping photos. And then I saw you go, and you went and literally sat down on the floor, and you just got into this zone, and like nothing else mattered. Now, where does that come from?
There are moments that I get this feeling, and I just want to capture them, to almost freeze them forever. So if I'm at a concert, it's painful to be a guest because I'm seeing angles, I'm seeing images. It's like, oh, I need that. That photo should last forever. That's historical. That's classic.
Wow.
So it's very, very difficult.
So you're
for me
doing
to
that as
be
it's unfolding?
At an event, yes, without taking photographs because I'm mentally doing it even if I don't have a camera.
So it's like that third eye is
So I
working.
prefer not to go if I'm not taking a photograph.
Let me ask you this. When I'm on stage, I'm performing, right, having the best show of my life. I have like an out-of-body experience. I actually take my body out of my body, performing on stage, and I go to the back of the room. I float, Monica, I float to the back of the room, and I watch myself performing. And then I look at the audience seeing me. Is that the same thing for you in photography?
Yes. You know, for example, Skeeter,
Isn't that deep?
I don't even remember getting on the floor photographing Bernie Mac. I don't.
Wow.
So I probably had the same experience.
Wow.
A lot of moments I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to capture it.
Man, I've seen, because that particular night with Bernie Mac, when you did go into the MMZ, the Monica Morgan zone, I'm going to trademark that. I'm going to get some money. I'm going to get some money. So when you go into that zone, like you were actually literally she was sitting on the floor, and Bernie was just talking. Bernie, you know, we were just kicking it. Man, you were just, when I looked over at you, you were just going through the image. Nothing bothers you. Nothing registers with you. You're just focused on that camera and those lenses.
Yes. And that's actually how I was given the first opportunity to work for Ebony and Jet magazine.
Oh, wow.
I was on the floor photographing the Trumpet Awards.
Wow.
And
what's the Trumpet?
Bennett there are major awards that Zernona Clayton gives out of Atlanta.
Right.
And Lerone Bennett from Ebony, he and Judge Greg Mathis were looking over my shoulder at the computer, and they were seeing the images appear that they had just seen on the stage because digital photography was somewhat new. And so Lerone said, I'd like to talk to you about working for Ebony. And I said to him, thank you. I love Ebony. I love Jet. That's like my dream, but I don't want to work for you.
You don't want to work for you. You wanted to stay.
I want to just be able to freelance. And that's what I ended up being able to do.
Okay, and then you have more freedom to do whatever you want to do because you're in control of your fate at that particular
And I own my images.
You own, ownership. I try to teach people about, why are people calling Monica right now when she's going live? Y'all just, come on now. Don't be ratchet. So, but ownership, back to ownership. See, owning your own photos is the akin of owning your own intellectual properties. Mm-hmm. And so I always tell people, if you own what you create, you negotiate, you leverage from a position of power.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And no one can dictate to you because all you have to do is own your images, own your intellectual properties, and then you could play that competition game with people who could potentially purchase, lease, or freelance.
And that's what happens with Getty Images and Wire Image. They don't own my
so
images.
You're on Wire Image too?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I started with Wire Image.
Wow.
And then Getty bought Wire Image, so I work with both.
Okay.
As well as Film Magic, which is another brand that Getty Images owns. And so I still own the copyright to those images.
Wow. So you're making money whenever someone How does that work exactly for people
Well,
that
I
people
get
that don't know?
reports, and I find out
Okay.
that I'm hot in Ireland or I'm hot in Japan, and I get these reports that tell me, well, your photographs appeared on in TV Guide or
Right.
on the cover of this magazine or on the cover of that magazine. So I've had Life and Rolling
Wow.
Stone and
Wow. So you've been on the
and
cover
then I was,
of.
but see, I
Wow.
started out as a stringer for Associated Press.
Okay. Okay. What does that mean, a stringer?
It freelance.
Freelance.
Again, I
Okay.
owned my work.
All right. I'm being educated.
So I did that
ladies and
first,
gentlemen. Yeah.
and then I graduated to Wire Image and Getty Images.
Wow. So now, is that something, like, it's getting a little warm in here. So is that just something that they sought you?
Yes.
That's what they did.
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
And I was actually busy and told them I had to call them back.
Wow.
I wanted the opportunity, but I was in the midst of a photo session, a very intensive photo session, and so I couldn't talk to them right then.
So, okay, so Getty Images has been the bridge to other things, other work.
Well, you have to remember, though, I started out with Associated Press.
You started out
So
with
when
these-
I was in South Africa covering the first race elections,
Yes.
and a bomb went off, and I ran towards the bomb. My images ran all over the world via Associated Press out of their Paris bureau,
Wait.
even the front page of the Detroit News.
So when the bomb went off, everybody else was running that way. Monica Morgan was running toward.
It took me a moment to decide which way I was going to go.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
touched this cross that my grandmother had placed around my neck.
Oh, man.
She said, "Go with God."
Mm.
And I said, "This is it. This
This
is
is
a
it.
story I have to tell. People are dying
They're
for a
dying,
right
yeah.
that we take for granted." So
Right.
I had to capture it.
Wow. And so after capturing those images, you say those images were worldwide.
Yes. And it was very hard because I wanted to stop and help people, but thank goodness people were helping
Wow.
the victims, so I didn't have to worry about that. But there was a moment where I went into an area that was shaded, and a woman was bleeding profusely from her side. And I looked at her like, "Are you okay?" And she looked at me like, "Yeah." And I had my camera, and I didn't want to just invade her privacy. And she looked and said, she gave me the okay. And I was able to capture that. And I saw her on the news, and she was okay. And I was so glad.
Wow. That must be difficult, though, because you're actually capturing people who injured, capturing people in very, very vulnerable positions and situations.
It was.
But just the devastation of that. So, and then where are some of the places that those images actually wound up being published?
One of the things that happened, I was given the opportunity to show the photographs through the Charles Wright Museum, but they had an annex at Northland Mall. And so I was going to be able to show what I had captured.
Mm-hmm.
However, the marketing director
Right.
said, "You can only show the party and happy photos.
Whoa.
You can't show any of the serious images." So I refused to take that opportunity.
And where was this?
At Northland Mall, they were going to have a big area set aside for an exhibit, but they said that the serious photos might cause a riot.
What?
And so I told them they weren't qualified to edit South Africa's history.
Wow.
And that
Great.
until someone showed the true story, I wasn't going to be a part of it.
Hold on.
And so when they said, "Hey, you've given up a great opportunity," I said, "No, people died for this. And I have to let our people know that's what happened. They died before they partied and celebrated."
Let's take a moment. To me, you are simply an amazing woman. I've known you for quite some time, and you've always had the same wonderful demeanor. You've always been very receptive, very open to people. And I've always, just me watching you from afar and dealing, very loosely business in terms of business, some of the events that I've thrown. But I've always seen you be a consistent person. And that person that I've seen consistently has been a very engaging person, a very fair person. Just beautiful.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say that about you. So I know that you've done other work. I know that you photographed Minister Farrakhan, right?
Yes.
Okay, now how did that come about?
It's so interesting. When I first saw him, he was a guest at Congressman Conyers' Brain Trust during the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation annual legislative weekend. And the FOI came in and Minister Farrakhan was on his way, and they told me that I couldn't take photos. I basically had to move.
Wow.
I was like, oh, you don't understand.
Like,
this is Minister Farrakhan. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm shooting for the congressman. You can't put me out.
Wow.
So I stood my ground.
You stood your ground. Good,
they allowed me to stay on my ground. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, there you go.
And I captured these images of the minister.
Wow.
He was like this, and he was in deep thought.
Mm.
That ended up being the official photo of the historic Million Man March.
Wow.
Mother Tanetta used that photograph on the cover of her book.
Wow.
And it was also on a sweatshirt.
Wow.
So it was the official image. And that night, the night of the Million Man March, after I had rented a helicopter and did aerial photos of the march, I saw the minister. We were in the green room at CNN. And I was introduced to him by Brother James Muhammad, who was the editor of the Final Call.
Okay.
And the minister, he was told that that was my image of him. And he said, oh, it's all right. And I said, oh, come on now. You know you like that photograph. If you didn't, they would never have been able to use it. And we laughed. And that was my first moment meeting him.
Wow. That's amazing.
He was being interviewed by Larry King the night of the Million Man March.
I remember that. Interview.
And I was there.
You were there that night?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. That's amazing. You stood your ground.
You know, Skeeter, the thing is, everything that I've ever done, I owe to God.
Yes.
And so it's not me. It's what he has allowed to happen through me.
Wow.
And so I never know what's going to happen. It's always in his hands.
Right.
And it's amazing the things that happen.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. When the Smithsonian opened last year,
Right.
the National African American Museum, I was given credentials, and those credentials were taken from me and given to another agency who didn't get these particular credentials that I had gotten through my name. It's a long story, but they actually took my credentials that were given to me through my AOL account. So it wasn't their agency. If it came to an AOL account, people were clear it was a personal credential. But I let it go. And so God put me in the right place.
Wow.
I ended up in the spot where people were coming in.
Uh-huh.
So I captured Oprah.
Wow.
I captured Gail. I captured Stedman.
Wow.
I captured Ava DuVernay, Lupita, the new cast of some of her movies that she was doing. Everyone was there. Oh, and the richest African-American man in the world, Robert Smith, which a lot of people don't know him, but I had just photographed him the week before at Congressional Black Caucus Foundation.
Okay.
So I knew who he was.
Yeah.
I got a chance to talk with him, and everyone was coming in that way.
See.
So I had a chance to talk.
Wow.
Samuel L. Jackson came in. Stevie Wonder. He came in that way, and I was able to get all these candid photos. So that agency that took my credential, I called them up. I said, hey, I just got blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, where? I said, right. I'm not telling you. You'll see my images.
You'll find out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Go to Getty Images or the AP.
Exactly.
Or the other wire.
Well,
What's the one?
Well, Film Magic is owned by Getty, but the point is that it was God. It wasn't me. How could I end up in the spot that people wanted to be in?
Well, like you said, it's God. A lot of things that happen to us, first we initially think that this is a negative, and then it winds up being a positive overall.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean?
He always takes those negative situations and turns them around.
You better say
I'm
that.
a living witness to that.
So, all right. So I know, Monica, Rosa Parks, that I remember seeing the obituary. I remember actually going to, I want to say I went to the funeral. I remember the obituary at the funeral. And I knew that was your image.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I was inside in a photograph with her.
Okay. See, now that's major. She is the mother of the movement. So how did the relationship with that, with the mother, Rosa, how did that develop?
I never liked to get in anyone's face. So I was traveling around with Mrs. Parks to various events and places, and I didn't talk to her as much as you would think because I didn't want to invade her space and
just respect.
Exactly. And so Mrs. Parks always wrote, whenever she autographed a book to me, it would say to Monica, a dear friend, and a great photographer. And that just said it all.
Wow.
That
Wow.
just touched me
Yeah.
like you would never believe. And there's an image that I took of her where she looks like a diva, and you never really seen her look like a diva before. I actually was able to braid her hair. It was so soft.
Oh,
it
you
was just
braided?
I
You
braided her
braided?
hair. She could almost sit on it.
Really?
And I wrapped it around her head. It was a little different style from the one she always wore. And she had on this red silk dress. And my friend, who named Monica Cooper, who was a makeup artist, she put red lipstick on her. And Mrs. Parks looked like a queen.
Wait a minute.
Yes, she looked like a queen.
She looked
So
like a queen.
Ebony used it on their cover after she passed away, and I was really honored. They used an older image of her, and it was kind of morphed into the current image that I had taken, and it was just a really big compliment.
Wow, and you braided her hair too, so you got braid credits.
Oh, you're so funny.
I mean, that's major. I'm just making light of it. But
let me tell you, my photo shoots, I have done makeup, I have curled hair, I've flat ironed hair, I've done things to make the photo happen. So that wasn't new.
You've done a lot. You've done a lot of great photography. Some of the images that I've seen, some of the people mentioned. Can you just mention like some of the people we haven't even spoken about? I know that you got an opportunity to photograph Obama.
Yes.
How was that? How'd that come about?
I created an opportunity and took advantage of it.
There you go.
I went to where he was and I captured his image.
Look at you.
And I captured his wife's image and his children's image, and I continued to make those things happen. Wow. I have photographed Prince Charles.
Prince Charles? No. Prince Charles?
Yes, I did. And it was during Nelson Mandela's final rites, and I actually asked him to shake Jesse Jackson's hand again because I missed that moment. I was somewhere else, and then I got Jesse Jackson to go over and shake his hand. So
you got Jesse to shake
Prince Charles's hand.
Wow!
Yeah, I know.
How did you have a gumption to do that? You pull that off?
Because I'm not myself.
You're Monica.
I'm not myself. Like you said, I'm in that zone because Monica is shy.
Yeah.
It's that brand of Monica Morgan that would have the nerve to do that. Not Monica. Not at all. So I photographed him, and I was in a room with about 40 African heads of state, including Yasser Arafat.
Wow.
I was the only American, the only African American, and the only woman in that room.
Wow.
And so I documented all of these presidents and Yasser Arafat.
I saw a very, very rich in texture photograph of Muammar Gaddafi.
Yes.
That you shot.
I took quite a few photos of him. He said that I captured his essence. Wow. Now, I don't support terrorism, not at all. But it was an opportunity to photograph him.
Yeah.
And he allowed me that opportunity, and so.
Well, see, a lot of people don't understand. A photo opportunity is a photo opportunity. Exactly. You know what I mean? And when you have that opportunity to record history, nobody judges those people who photo. You have to have those images of people. So if you were out photographing, Satan doing his thing, I mean, it's a job. And you're not supporting him. It's just a job. You know what I mean? You understand? You got to leave. It's hot down here. I got to go. But I'm just saying, that's a photo opportunity, right?
I always say if the Pope had called me, I'd have been there photographing him. But I did photograph him in Rome from a distance.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay, so.
I photographed the Dalai Lama. I have photographed lots and lots of heads of state.
Wait a minute. Now, you are.
I photographed the former president of Mexico. I photographed a snapshot of Fidel Castro. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but I would have loved to.
Okay.
I was a guest in quite a few presidents' countries.
How many?
That came up.
Heads of state,
how many? I don't know how many exactly.
Just guesstimation.
But I know that at one event alone, there were about 97.
97 heads of state.
And that was during Nelson Mandela's swearing in. Wow. So I was able to capture them. And then his retirement, there were a lot of them there. And I had that opportunity to later on become a guest in some other heads of states countries because of my relationship with Minister Akbar Mohammed. He took me to a lot of places, a group of us or journalists. And I had that opportunity because of him. It didn't just happen because of me. And I'll tell you that I got a call once to fly to Israel the same day to photograph Winnie Mandela's historic visit. Oh. And I said, well, I can't come tonight, but I can come tomorrow. And I hopped on the plane that next day, and I spent think it was about 2 weeks with Winnie Mandela.
No, come on now. 2 weeks?
Every day I had to kiss her on the lips like this and say, good morning, mommy, because that's an endearment.
Okay.
But let me tell you the story. So she said, one day, I like your earrings.
I like your earrings.
I said, oh, okay, thank you.
You're like, thank you.
She said, no, I like your earrings. And I'm thinking,
you're thinking,
what does she mean?
What do you mean? Yeah,
and her English was quite clear.
Wow.
And then she said, I like your earrings. Give them to me.
Okay, wow.
I was deer in headlights. I'm like, okay, which earrings do I have on? Because if they were my good ones, she wasn't getting them.
Oh, wow.
But they weren't. They were some $10 boutique earrings.
Okay, but she liked them.
And I gave them
and you
to
gave
her.
them up.
Yeah, so Winnie Mandela has my earrings.
Well, that's a great thing. And she just basically told you,
right,
give it up,
She didn't play. But she was very nice. She knew what she wanted. She wanted my earrings, but she was very nice. And so it was great to travel throughout Israel with her.
Yeah.
And
I like those earrings, as a matter of fact.
We went to Leah Rabin's funeral.
Wow.
And
that's serious.
The United States attended that, so it was great to be able to capture President Bill Clinton at those at the final rites for Leah Rabin, and going to the Sea of Life, as they call it, or the Dead Sea, with Winnie Mandela, going through the Sea of Galilee and all of these places with her for the first time. It was an amazing opportunity.
So you've traveled the world.
That trip was a result of Prince Asiel bin Israel, who invited me to visit Israel. And that wasn't my first visit. I've been there several times. And I went back, and it was so funny because I rented a car. I called it the little engine that could. It was a Kia.
All right.
And so I was with one of my friends, Amalia. And we were going through the mountains to the Dead Sea, or they call it the Sea of Life. And I'm thinking she's going to take over because I don't know anything about driving in this little bitty lightweight car through the mountains. She said, oh, I don't drive.
Wow.
Exactly.
So did you have to actually elevate hills and things?
I had to go up the mountain and down the mountain to get to the Dead Sea. But we survived, and it was an amazing place.
So I see like these videos, like YouTube or whatever. I see these videos where you're on a cliff and you can actually look over the cliff and you could see like...
Skeeter, I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking over cliffs.
Yeah, you could see death.
I might have been up there, but I wasn't looking over.
Okay, so
I was
you just
looking out. I was looking
out.
I went zip lining. I'm afraid of heights. Okay. I recently went zip lining. And the secret is not to look down.
Not to look down.
But to look across.
Look across.
That's what I did.
Yes, I can't believe it. Wonderful. Wow, man, this is, the sad part about it is we only have 2 minutes left. Can you give me a list of, because you've traveled the world, clearly, and amazing, let me give you that real quick. And I have to say this, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule.
Thank you for inviting me.
I know you have a very busy schedule and everything, but you make interviewing very pleasant because I don't have to ask a whole lot of questions. And then looking at you is always good. You know what I'm saying? Some people you be interviewing like this, show up. You can't really look at it. And you're like, well, I was trying to. You're like, okay. So can you give me a list of some of the people that we have not mentioned that you had the privilege of photographing?
Muhammad Ali. I spent time at his home, and he performed magic. I was delivering. I wasn't delivering. The company I was shooting for, General Motors, was delivering a Denali to him, and we spent hours at his home.
And he was performing
magic.
Okay.
Yes, he was performing magic.
The champ.
So I spent time with photographing him. I photographed so many people. Betty Shabazz, Coretta Scott King, Mamie Till Mobley, Emmett Till's mother, Merle Evers Williams. Those the civil rights figures are the ones that really touch me because I know they went through so much.
They went through so much.
Dick Gregory, Martin Luther King III, Reverend Bernice King. I photographed them. So many. Betty Shabazz called me homegirl.
Wow.
I went shopping with Rosa Parks in Montgomery at one of the stores she worked in.
I'm so proud of you.
I was a guest of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe?
Yes, in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
And I was a guest of President Wade from Senegal. So I covered this beautiful parade of people during that time. I've been to Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Zanzibar, a lot of different places where I've been able to document lifestyles.
So one thing before we get out of here and we have to go. When with what you've traveled the world, and you see what's going on in this country right now, with regards to our people. What would you share with our people, our younger people in particular? How can we instill those values that you've actually witnessed through traveling the world? What do we need to do really, really, really quickly?
When you go to third world countries, you can't come back the same.
You can't.
People die for things that we take for granted. I mean, we had a low turnout in Detroit for voting.
Yeah.
And yet people in South Africa died for that right. Our young people have to learn the history. They have to know. We have to somehow grasp them and say, you got to understand that we've suffered through so much, and we're still trying to overcome, if you will.
Wow.
So it's important that we reach out to our young people and explain to them where we've come from and how we've gotten to where we are, so that they can appreciate and understand that journey.
Absolutely.
And I hope that I can do that through my images.
And you have. And we will continue this dialogue, and I appreciate you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Monica Morgan, international photojournalist. Thank you once again, Monica.
Thank you.